Well, thank you guys for joining us on a Friday evening. Appreciate it very much. And welcome to LLM Scout's first of many, I hope.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So, look, today we're going to peel back the curtain on AI search a little bit, dispel a few myths, and really talk to you guys about why we've built LLM Scout and the problems that it helps solve. We believe it has proper utility and can help growth teams and marketers in this new paradigm of AI search. So, without further ado, it's a short webinar today, just 30 minutes long. Let's get started. So, today's agenda on the call, on the webinar today, you have myself, Ben Quinney. I'm the CMO of LLM Scout, and Frank Vitetta, who you'll
Hey
hear
guys.
through tones as well, is the CTO of LLM Scout. So, what are we going to be covering today? Well, we're going to talk about why AI search changes how brands win in this new paradigm. We're going to talk about how LLMs decide who gets mentioned and who doesn't. And then we're going to lead into how LLM Scout can help measure and influence whether your brand is mentioned or not. What are some actions that you guys can do next following today's call, with or without LLM Scout? And we'll finish with some Q&A at the end. So let's start. Why AI search changes how brands win. I think it's obvious. We're all using ChatGPT, we're all using Perplexity, we're all using Gemini. There's been a paradigm shift in user behavior. AI assistants are completely replacing conventional search and how we look for information and how we do our decision making when we're looking for brands, products, and services. We're now asking complex, detailed questions on the road to brand discovery. And I know firsthand for when I'm looking for products or services, I'm not interacting in the same way that I would with conventional organic search. Let's say a couple of keywords, maybe a 5 keywords long or such. I'm coming to ChatGPT or Gemini with an incredibly rich, detailed prompt. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's how much I'm willing to spend. This is where I'd like to buy it, etc., etc. These are my needs. These are my requirements. And then after that, refining the results so that I'm chaining prompts together in essentially a conversation. That is a paradigm shift in how we are finding products and services that help solve our problems. And this is an interesting stat. And even though 2027 is not that far away, by 2027, 95% of buyer's journey will start on an LM. That's quite stark. That's huge. There's never been a change so rapid in our industry as what we're witnessing happen at breakneck speed right now. And it's obvious. Google's grip has been slipping. Now, while it still controls 80% of digital queries, and I just want to dwell on this a little bit because if you believe everything that you read on LinkedIn, you get these charlatans saying that SEO is dead and everyone should put all their marketing budgets into SEO. And it's just simply not true, of course, because Google still controls, as I said, 80% of digital queries. But its share has been steadily falling since 2023. ChatGPT has now surged to 9% and is gaining ground fast, particularly among the younger audiences. It's, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think ChatGPT is the fastest product launch in history. But what's really stark and what's really interesting and what the data tells us today is that users that come to websites from ChatGPT spend 3 times longer on them than they do from conventional search. This is a massive shift in user behavior. What it says to us is that, hey, I'm inherently going to trust more what the brand that ChatGPT is recommending to me, more so than, say, these couple of brands that are ranking first, second, and third, respectively, in organic search. So while Google is still the lion's share of the traffic generation, when it comes to lead quality and trust in a brand, LLMs are already winning the race. And what we can already see is AI search is already fragmented. We were talking there about how quickly ChatGPT has seen this explosive growth, but even in the past year, its market share has dropped considerably. First to market, sure, first mover advantage, but Google has taken leaps and bounds in terms of quality when it comes to its Gemini model. Gemini 3 now is brilliant, and personally speaking, I more often than not choose Gemini over ChatGPT, depending on what I'm up to, because these different models, these different LLMs are carving out meaningful niches of their own. For example, Claude is incredible for developers and code. Perplexity, if you're in the B2B space, Visibility here is absolutely critical. So what we're going to find ourselves is in a market where, yes, it's fragmented, but all of these various different LLMs have carved themselves out specific needs and use cases, depending on what kind of users they're looking to attract. And what's the implication? It means that if you're AIO, feel free to insert whatever acronym you like here, guys, because it's Geo, LLMO,
Yeah.
etc. There's no meaningful consensus right now. It's all the same stuff. It's optimizing your visibility for AI. We're going with AIO because we feel it makes the most sense to us. But my point is this. If your AIO strategy is ChatGPT first, it's already outdated. And I think it's worth dwelling on this now. If you work with SEO for a long time, you'll know that the golden era of being able to track dollar from impression through to click, through to lead, and being able to explain to the board and your teams, hey, we're investing this much money and we're getting this traffic. Here's our conversion rate. It's over. The zero click future is now. And this is just Google's ecosystem, right? We've got full-blown AI mode on the side, which will at some point become the absolute default. You've got AI views that are pushing organic search further down. And in fact, I was just reading, Frank, on Search Engine Journal today that AI overviews are now exclusively powered by Gemini 3.
Oh, wow.
And within the AI overviews itself, right,
Hmm.
you are able to have conversations with them like you would with an LLM. So
Oh, wow.
this is pushing the
Yeah.
results down even further. And as we know, when you are getting the answers directly from these LLMs, how often is it resulting in a click? The answer is
Mm.
very, very rarely.
Yeah, it is.
So how do these LLMs decide who gets mentioned? Let's start here. It is worth pointing out that SEO does not quite mean AIO. Is there huge overlaps in the fundamentals of the practices to both? Absolutely. And what you'll find a lot of the time is that brands that have invested in significant SEO optimization and coverage in the years gone by will automatically be getting decent AIO visibility, but they do fundamentally work differently. SEO determines what ranks, AIO determines who or what brand gets referenced. You're not getting a list of links back, you're getting a synthesized list of answers from brands that the LLMs trust. And here's a real key thing. AI tools choose clarity over popularity. And this is a really important takeaway. So if you take away nothing else, this is the one single most important takeaway. What we're seeing is that some brands that are on page 2 and beyond in organic search results are being chosen over brands that already have first top 3 rankings in organic search results instead. Why? Because, first of all, these systems don't use organic rankings to determine who they're going to reference in their AI answers. They instead prefer clarity. And so, brands that have consistently explained across the web and the various entities that they have what they do, who they do it for, and how they help, and with proof such as case studies, are beating people to the punch when it comes to AI visibility, despite perhaps not having invested in, long-term SEO over the years. So AIO, the practice of AIO, ensures your brand and services are understood by these LLMs and not just visible. It's the process of aligning your content, entities, and citations so that AI can confidently recommend you to your ICP when they are, having a conversational search with you. Hey, I have this problem. Do you know the top 3 brands that can help me with, I don't know, wealth management in the UK? It's explicitly telling these systems, this is what we do. And this is a wonderful graphic that I'm not going to bog people down in on this webinar today, but this is from Screaming Frog. And if you've been in the SEO space or marketing space in general for a long time, you know exactly who they are. Market leader in organic search intelligence and helping people understand technical blockers to better search visibility. But the point that I want to draw on here is that there is a significant amount of overlap when it comes to SEO best practice and what drives AI visibility, how your brand is referenced. I mean, the power of the brand has never been more important now. EAT, expertise, education, authority, and trust, site architecture, etc. These are all concepts we're all super familiar with in the digital marketing space, but it is moving beyond that. For example, backlinks, which has been the currency of the web organic search present for so long, are pretty meaningless when it comes to AI search visibility. And now it is more about citations. And that is really personified in the fact that one trusted citation from a trusted source that your ICP visits, that the LLMs use to surface brands and pages, is more powerful than 10 generic backlinks. And obviously, this is a constantly evolving space. You've got the agentic side of things coming as well, where the shopper becomes the bot. And on the right-hand side is where this is all heading, which, from a technical standpoint and a content standpoint, is a radical departure away from conventional SEO. And here's what's one of the most interesting studies that's been done by a company called Profound. Profound conducted a study on over 667,000 real ChatGPT conversations to figure out exactly when ChatGPT searches the web versus actually surfacing brands and answers from its own training data. And the results to me are amazing. 53.5% of the time there is a commercial query, it triggers a web search. What does that mean? A user is looking for services, let's say in the B2B space, hey, I'm looking for negotiation training services in New York. I've got this many people from the procurement department. Can you give me the top 5 providers? It's not going into its training data. It's going off onto the web to search for providers. This is huge. This is where brands have the biggest leverage today, and it's where we can win. You'll see informational queries there as well. It's just over 18%. But the era of creating top of funnel, really lengthy blogs and guides that everyone in your space is doing is over. And this has been notable with HubSpot recently. HubSpot, massive marketing intelligence platform. Most of their traffic was on the blog, really helpful guides, etc. But the next 5 competitors are also pumping out the same articles, targeting the same keywords. And now that top of funnel informational layer is being answered directly within LLMs with people's specific use cases. So going after that kind of content from a marketing perspective now is just simply nonsensical. It's not where we can win. We can't beat a conversational search here. But where we can is going back to what I said before, having the answers to show the LLMs and ultimately your ICP and users, hey, this is the service we offer, this is what we do, and this is why we're good. And that is very much best answered with middle of funnel content and those all important bottom of funnel sales pages. So without further ado, as you know, and as we've just been discussing today, we're in a new paradigm shift where AI visibility has been hard to track. There's been difficult conversations with boards and people providing budgets like, hey, where do we sit when it comes to AI visibility? And that led to us last year launching LLM Scout. So I'm going to shut up just for a second and I'm going to bring Frank into the conversation. Frank, if you could just walk everyone through, just give us a little bit of a background. Like, how did LLM come to be? What are the problems that we're trying to solve? And in your view, why is LLM Scout different from all the other intelligence tools on the market today?
Yeah, so I think it's obviously it's a good question. So we thought that as an agency, we couldn't really find a tool that could help us with 3 different pillars that we saw. So the first one is to make sure that the client website was ready for the LLMs. So we needed to have some kind of visibility audit, a crawler that could go to the site, simulate how the LLM chatbots they crawl the site and give us a report. So that was the first requirement. The second was to have a reliable way where we could track analytics or traffic coming to the site from LLMs. So the LLMs, obviously, they drive traffic to the site, but they also crawl the site. So similarly, like Google. Now, obviously, they're different because Google traditionally used to crawl the site, cache or save the content of the site. And then, so when you were searching Google, we were actually searching Google Cache. For LLMs, it's different because with the agent mode enabled, you actually search the real web. So that's why they are becoming more widespread, because obviously you're not searching on all data as you used to do in the beginning of 2025. you search on real-time data. And I actually, the first point I made about the site be ready for LM is a really strong point. So you really need to make sure that your site is ready for disclosure. And the third one was about tracking prompts. So track what are the conversations that people are having on the LLMs, what are the opportunities in the market. So we use these sort of three pillars, and you can see on LLM Scout, there are three different areas where you can see or analyze your performance against these three major pillars. And also having control of analytics gives us a better understanding of what sort of what's the behavior of an LLM coming to the site, but also pages they like, also pages they don't like, and they never crawl or they never see. And we also inform. We have our own AI engine within the LLM Scout, so we can also inform our own data monitor that there might be some areas of the site that they need to be looked after.
Yeah, wonderful, Frank. Just to underscore what you've just said there, I mean, really, in a practical sense, the way that people today are using LLM Scout is three core pillars. As you said, Frank, it's to measure, get a baseline understanding of how your brand appears across LLMs, understand which types of prompts, pages, and driving those
That's
visibility,
it.
but most crucially, acting upon that. And to peel back the curtain a bit for everyone on this call, there are obviously a few competitors in the space right now. But what a lot of these competitors are lacking is the action part of this. It's all very well being able to measure and say what types of prompts are triggering your brand in LLMs, but without the clear, hey, this is the action that you need to take for this specific LLM, these tools are pretty useless and it's just a toy. And I
Yeah,
think that's what really was driving the conversations internally with Frank and I last year was like, there has to be a way to give people control to understand, okay, my marketing team have got a content production budget. We know we need to tackle AI. We don't know where to start. That's where LLM Scout comes in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the screens that you see for analytics, for instance. So you can immediately see, okay, that's the traffic that I'm getting on the site is real time. There is a delay of a couple of seconds, so it's way better than Google Analytics. You don't have to set up anything. You just install a small script on the site. It works exactly like Google Analytics. It's super fast. It's served by Cloudflare. We tested across the world. It takes about zero point 0.6 seconds, so 200 milliseconds. It gives you really it gives the tool really great insights. As I was saying, about the way the frequency that the bots they crawl the site, the sort of quality of traffic, where is the traffic coming from, what sort of devices, and also a very useful breakdown by LLMs. And this goes behind the GA4 limitations. You can't get this off GA4 off the shelf. You need to set up a custom report. But again, even if you do it, you won't see the data as we see it here.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And I think this has been like something that people have we've seen that people really need for this. As you say, GA4 has all these drawbacks and limitations. The first question to answer is exactly that measure part of this, right? It's like, show me where I'm appearing in AI, which LLMs that we're getting the most brand visibility on. And as we know, GA4 can be clunky, it can be heavy, it can slow down site speed. And to your point about how fast it slows in the data that it gives you, I think is super invaluable.
Yeah,
I think moving on, so looking at one of the other screens that LLM Scout offered, we wanted to be able to provide clients, teams, CMOs with an AI visibility dashboard. I mean, this is super important when you're getting questions from the powers that be, the CEOs of the world, the founders, who are literally tearing their hair out saying, I've just done this prompt here, and so competitor and so competitor is appearing. Why are they appearing, and where are we? And this goes a long way to help having those conversations, showing you which LLMs are mentioning the brand, but most importantly, being able to track it and optimize it over time so you can actually understand that what is driving AI visibility on your website or what's not. And most importantly and crucially, how you stack up against your competitors. How behind the curve are you? Do you have no AI visibility compared to your next best competitor? Are you way in front of them? These are questions that everyone's asking right now. And this AI visibility dashboard goes a long way to helping you answer these fundamental questions. The next piece is that we were talking about citations earlier. Right? I mentioned earlier that the power of one citation versus 10 backlinks, right? And in the SEO world, there's a plethora of tools to help you understand, hey, where should I get my backlinks? What would be a really strong domain authority site for us to go and get coverage on? Well, the AI equivalent of that is, as I mentioned before, citations. You don't want to just be doing guesswork and just firing off outreach emails, hoping that you're going to get coverage on certain sources or thinking, hey, Reddit's the right play for us, etc. It's changing so quickly. For example, if we were doing this webinar 12 months ago, we'd be screaming to the high heavens about Reddit for ChatGPT. And that has just changed rapidly in the past couple of months. This is a constantly evolving space where you need to know where your brand should be cited and referenced. And LLM Scout helps you do that. It helps you find the best citation opportunities, give them to your marketing team, and reach out in a data-driven way to increase your citations and placements and increase your AI visibility. Most importantly, LLM Scout helps you uncover what AI is being asked by your ICP and what you're not answering. This is from an actual real life client of ours right now. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to say the name, so I will
Yeah, leave it.
omit that. But what you can see here is that these are real types of prompts that their ICP will be using to interact and have conversational search with the LLMs and where they're not appearing. And so this is simple as this. It's identifying these content gaps, writing that middle of funnel and bottom of funnel content that I talked about before, putting it on the site. Again, just to hammer home that point. This is what we do. This is who we do it for. And this is why you should choose us. And this helps you start to create an AI visibility content plan. So it's turning the content gaps. It's not guesswork. It's data-driven content plan from these reports. And as Frank was talking about there before, the technical part of this is crucially important. So LLM Scout has an automated 65-point AI readiness audit. So you can understand how well your site is understood, crawled, and accessed by these LLMs. It's basically the AI equivalent of a technical SEO audit, which would typically take a long period of time. But LLM Scout gives you all of this information that you can share with your team, share with the developers, understand which are the high priority pages that need to change or be improved to get the LLMs a better understanding of your brand, to increase the chance of your brand being referenced and surfaced by these LLMs. And of course, it covers all the various technical factors such as page speed, page depth, and extractability. That's a key term when it comes to AI visibility. How easy is it for the machines to come to your website, look through the code, and extract the information they need to respond to the user's prompts? And finally, measuring success. Full transparency, this is a completely evolving space, right? If you go to the various different tools in the market right now, everyone has got a different take on this. In the same way that Ahrefs and SEMrush and Mars all have their own take on visibility scores when it comes to SEO. But it was really important for Frank I and the team to develop 3 pillars and 3 core metrics so that when you're having the conversations with your teams and people that are giving you budgets, you can show progression when it comes to your AI visibility. Okay, we do a visibility audit. Where do we sit today? Okay, so let's do 6 months of AIO, and where do we sit in 6 months from now? So having that all-important AI visibility score is absolutely key. And of course, prompt coverage, not to be confused with prompt tracking and keyword tracking. I just want to talk about that a little bit because there's a lot of people online right now, LinkedIn, saying that you can track every single individual prompt. This is impossible, and it would be a worthless endeavor anyway. Why? Because my prompt is a total lifetime search volume or prompt volume of 1. My prompt will be entirely different to Frank's prompt, to everyone else's prompt. Everyone prompts and has conversations differently. And so when we talk about prompt tracking, we're not saying volume of prompt and, hey, you're getting more visibility for this individual prompt. It's understanding intent and the intent behind the types of prompts that your ICP are using to trigger your brand and how well you appear for prompts just like it. And finally, a consistency score. This is vital because we've seen already with some brands who might have a strong SEO presence, giving confusion to the various different LLMs. In fact, we were just doing a visibility audit with one of our partner agencies, and we
Yeah,
were asking them, hey, how do you describe your brand? Blah, blah, blah. Are you this? Are you that? Are you a CX agency or whatever?
yeah,
And Perplexity got it right, B2B space, as I mentioned earlier on this webinar today, crucial for them. ChatGPT thought they were a SaaS software. They are a customer experience agency. That is an immediate red flag and an area to, sort out immediately because as we talked about earlier, people are interacting with these LLMs looking for agencies and businesses such as theirs. How is ChatGPT ever going to surface them if it thinks they're a SaaS product? So that's why we developed the consistency score. How consistent is your representation of brand across the web, and how consistent is the understanding across the LLMs? So, what are the main takeaways today? Four key ones. We know AI visibility is already rapidly reshaping discovery, comparison, and buying decisions right before our very eyes. I hope you've seen today that AI is not guesswork. It can be something that we can track, optimize, and engineer over time across the various different LLM models. Most importantly, when it comes to this, AI citations come from a small, repeatable set of trusted sources. And as I said before, one incredibly high quality, well referenced site that the AI models come to a lot, one citation is more powerful than 10 backlinks back in the SEO world. And most importantly, AI visibility can be measured, it can be prioritized, and it can be optimized like any other channel. So,
brilliant.
what should you do next? Well, with or without LLM Scout, it's this. It's performing a business reality check. And that's very much sitting down and go, okay, guys, how do we describe our business? How do we describe explicitly the services or products that we offer? And if someone who didn't know us was to look for us today in AI, what might they search for? And getting that sort of understanding of your baseline visibility across these LLMs. And then it's about identifying the citation gaps versus the competitors. Again, not backlinks. Where are your competitors getting their citations from? Where are they mentioned? And where are you not? And how can you close the gap? And finally, and most crucially, focusing content efforts on high intent prompt types and trusted sources. So I was talking about hammering earlier. This is middle of funnel content. I'm going to repeat for maybe the fifth time on this webinar today.
Yeah,
Are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? And explicitly telling the users, but the LLMs, exactly that. So that is a wrap for me. I've got some
brilliant. We got 2 minutes, Sven.
got 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
Do we have time for a couple of questions, do you think?
yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, very
Okay,
quickly.
real quick. Okay, no sweat. Okay. So Frank, question number one. One
Okay,
thing we constantly hear is that AI is unpredictable. But from
yeah.
your perspective as the lead architect and CTO of LLM Scout, what actually makes LLMs trust one site over another one?
Yeah, okay. So I think the biggest misunderstanding is that thinking that trust or domain authority works in the same way that we saw working for SEO. LLM don't trust brands, they trust patterns. So authority has been replaced by consistency, which is a term that we're hearing more and more in 2026. And then for consistency, I mean consistency of language across multiple sources. For instance, Stripe described itself as a payment infrastructure platform from internet businesses and use exactly the same language across marketing pages, docs, and third-party sources. And also the repetition of positioning across different prompts and contexts. For instance, again, using Stripe, they appear for prompts like how do SaaS company accept payments and how do developers integrate payment quickly. So Stripe shows everywhere because their positioning is reinforced and is the same across the web. So just to conclude, backlinks help indirectly, as you mentioned before, they're not decisive. In LLM Scout, we've seen, as you said, Ben, we've seen sites, smaller sites, winning against bigger brands is just because the context is more explicit, more structured, and more reliable. John in the chat is asking how important is content across other sites, social media, etc., versus your own website in building visibility?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think you have some people in the space, and Frank, feel free to disagree, etc. here. You do have people in the space now. You've got people on the extreme side of it saying, like, oh, the importance of a website is diminished, which is ridiculous. The website is the single most important source for teaching these LLMs, as I said before, about what you do and who you do it for. And so having that middle of funnel content, bottom of funnel content, case studies for the LLMs, of course, the users to read is absolutely critical. But when we're talking about citations as well, and the entity footprint of your brand is more important than ever to ensure that you are publishing content where your ICP dwells. I can tell you, actually, I'm sure you're all familiar on the call here with LinkedIn Pulse. AI has recently started citing LinkedIn Pulse articles. So LinkedIn's obviously a really obvious example. It's a massive platform, of course, especially when it comes to B2B. But the same carries for other communities and other platforms as well. We mentioned Reddit earlier as well. It's still critically important, but distributing your content where your ICP dwells and reads and explaining your products and services and brand in the same way that you would on the website is absolutely critical. So I would hesitate to give a weighting to one or the other, but a mixture of both is absolutely critical still in 2026. I hope I answered your question, John.
Yeah, I can just add one more thing, Ben.
Wonderful, go for it.
What we've seen is that depending on the AI chatbot, then the content of your site becomes more or less important. So, for instance, ChatGPT relies a lot on the content that is found on your website and
Mhm.
less on citations, where Perplexity relies heavily on citations. So for our client, for instance, because they had good citations, Perplexity could work out their business. So I think at the moment there is still a big discrepancy between the LLMs. So we track everything, we track all the LLMs, and we can spot the differences. If we have if we track a prompt, it's very likely that your brand would be mentioned in Perplexity. Quite likely that would be mentioned on Gemini and ChatGPT, but Claude is not that great. So yeah, they're still different, and this is why we came up with LLM Scout because we want to track and learn from these LLMs.
I think we'll wrap it there, Frank. I did have a couple more questions, but I think being as it's Friday night, I
Yeah.
think we'll leave it there. And look, I hope this has all been helpful to all those in attendance today. We will share the recording with the webinar directly after this call, and really hope that it has been useful to everyone on the call today. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.